Moving on to our next session, we have the third and final panel discussion of the day. The topic for the panel is Creative Transformation in the Age of Innovation. The moderator of the session is Nazmul Karim Chowdhury, Marketeer and Brand Evangelist, Doctoral Researcher, IBA, University of Dhaka, and the other panel members are Mukit Ahmed, Head of Brand Marketing and Communications, Banglalink Digital Communications Limited, Nafees Anwar Choudhury, Head of Marketing, Grameenphone Limited, Zakia Zerin, Senior Manager Consumer E-Commerce and Digital Nestlé Bangladesh, and Rajbeen Abeer, Marketing Lead Bangladesh Coca-Cola Company.
Dear panelists and guests, welcome to our panel today, where our discussion will be focused on creative transformation in the age of innovation. Innovation and transformation are often used synonymously, but they're different in the world of creative. In some instances, transformation can lead to innovation. In other words, innovation can lead to transformation. But this mutually causal relationship is often overlooked since they are thought to mean the same thing. While indeed related, it is crucial for modern marketers to know the difference between the two terms. Innovation requires encouragement, collaboration, and communication, but it typically implies clear steps that must be taken. It's the start of something great. What happens next is transformation, the implementation process following that first spark of innovation. It also suggests an eventual end once the transformation has been completed. Therefore, when we talk about creative transformation, necessarily it takes time. But when we are challenged by a life-changing pandemic, maybe we all have to fast pace our creative transformation to stay relevant to our consumers. So today we are here to discuss how the creative transformation is taking place in Bangladesh that can lead to a great innovation. Today, we have some of the most recognized marketing leaders of the country in the panel with us. I believe that an exciting discussion is ahead of us, as our panel today consists of some of the leading minds from telecommunications, fast-moving consumer goods, food and beverage, and healthcare and nutrition industry. We have Mr. Mukit Ahmed, Head of Brand Marketing and Communications, Banglalink Digital. Mukit bhai? Mukit bhai, you are mute.
The classic situation. Yes, how are you doing? Nazmul bhai, good to see you, and everyone else. How are you doing?
Thank you, Mukit bhai. We have Ms. Zakia Zerin, Senior Manager, Consumer, E-Commerce and Digital, Nestlé.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all.
Thank you. And we have Mr. Nafees Anwar Choudhury, Head of Marketing, Grameenphone Limited.
Assalamu alaikum, Shabaike. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you, Nafees. Very good to see you. And we have Ms. Rajbeen Abeer, Marketing Lead, Bangladesh, Coca-Cola.
Hi, everyone. Very pleased to be here. Thanks for having me over.
Great getting all of you here. And finally, I'm Nazmul Karim Chowdhury. I'm Doctoral Researcher at IBA, University of Dhaka, and I'm going to moderate this awesome panel. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Well, one of the major differentiating factors between transformation and innovation is speed. Transformation takes time, moving from one state to another, which is a process. Innovation, on the other hand, usually refers to a sudden spark and the incipient actions that lead to implement that spark into a company's strategy. Here in the beginning, I'd like to request our distinguished panelists to tell us about how do you explicitly lead and manage the process of innovation? Do your organization have an innovation and transformation strategy that clearly defines what the organization wants to achieve? Let's start with Ms. Abeer. Abeer, would you like to give us your thought about how you think Coca-Cola as a company is leading the innovation and transformation roadmap in Bangladesh?
Thank you. I think so it's been like a couple of months for me in Coca-Cola right now. And what I see is at the heart of the company, we see this very strong entrepreneurial effort that comes in, and everyone looks at every aspect, every challenge that we see, every opportunity that we see, and that moment everyone is like, can we do something about it? When we think Coca-Cola from outside, we think it's an entrenched brand. It's a very it has been in our lives for more than 100 years. Maybe it's not so much of pro innovation, but that's absolutely different. I think the brand has been where it is because it is very pro innovation. And when we look into innovation, it's not just coming up with a new product. When we look into innovation, we look into what the consumer need, and we also look into how can we take this product faster to the consumer. We look into sustainability, we look into environment, and every element from where we keep on questioning ourselves, can this be done better? Is there something new that can be done over here? And this conversation is almost a 9 to 9 conversation for us. We start the day with this conversation, we end it with it. And more than often, I would say these conversations will also start getting into our work streams. So today I'm discussing something, maybe within a month or so, I will start working on it. And people are very pro getting into that. So everyone is in this agile mode all the time.
Great. So I believe that the environment, the sustainability is leading the transformation in your space, right? I mean, it looks like that because as ESG is becoming now quite big, this environment, this sustainability and all. Right. I'll come back to you on that and then we'll discuss more about it. It's a great point that you have brought on today. Well, let's move on to Mr. Mukit Ahmed. You work in the telecom industry, which has stiff competition. We are very lucky that we have Mr. Nafees here today with us, and you both today will be possibly discussing about how fierce this is. So the same question to you, how is in Banglalink, your company as an organization, you certainly look at transformation and innovation as a roadmap. How do you strategize it?
See, there's no introduction needed in terms of how competitive this industry is, in terms of Grameenphone being here and Banglalink, and also let's not forget the other operator here as well. So in this age of rapid transformation that's happening, it's important that we see ourselves as an agile company. It's important to bring in that effectiveness and efficiency in the actual value chain of the company. I'm not just talking about marketing here. I'm talking about all the other functions that are collaborating with each other all the time, day in, day out. It's important that we keep ourselves fast moving, embrace technology, because trust me, we are a telco company. We are not yet a truly tech company, because a tech company, as definition, they're really, really fast in terms of bringing in R&D to product and whatnot. On the other hand, we are still not yet quite there. I'm sure Nafees bhai might agree, because there's tons of bureaucracy that we have to shove ourselves through. And it's important that we see innovation in the light of the fact that we have to foster this culture of creativity within the employees, so that they're free to share ideas, free to collab with each other, and cross-functionally bring about the best of ideas that are relevant to the audience, that can solve problems in the process, in products, in an idea, in terms of marketing, creative layouts, to strategizing the brand as a whole. So these are all important to fuse in together and bring about the best that Banglalink has to offer. And with that, I would like to say that even today, we had the innovation chapter going on within the company. So even though it's pandemic, we're actually exercising this innovation across the company, and in online, we're ensuring that the employees throughout, they're actually participating in innovation challenges that are thrown out to them. And this is part of fostering this culture within the organization.
Thank you, Mukit. I mean, I could see that the similar points came in when Abeer spoke. She said about the entrepreneurial aura that's happening at Coca-Cola, where you think like whoever you look at the employees, they're having this culture of this entrepreneurship or agility. And I could see when we spoke, you also said the same thing, that apart from the agility that requires for transformation, it's very important that we should focus on our employees, because how we are dealing with them and how they're dealing with the consumer or the products, that's actually creating the definition for transformation in our own industry. I mean, leave the Western industry, how do they think, or how as an MNC we are here. But in our country, the cultural changes that needs a shift, and it's shifting. That's what you see progressing at in your company. And also Abeer, she has also experienced where she has just joined the company. So it's quite brilliant as an insight. And keeping that in mind, I'd like to move to Nafees Bhai, where would you like to add, Nafees Bhai? How do you think this transformation roadmap or this, and then this, or this innovation that sparks, that takes us towards the transformation? What's your take on that?
Right. Well, it all starts with the customer, what I believe. It is not that as an organization or as a company or as an industry, we wish to change ourselves all of a sudden. It all begins because the customer's behavior is shifting. So when we are talking about a change marketing model mix, probably it is being done for the change behavior of the customers. So it is not that we only wish to optimize ourselves, but also how to reach out to those customers. Talking about all the traditional marketing versus a new way of marketing, if you see, all the eyeballs are now moving towards the mobile screen. That's why probably the digital marketing is getting a bigger boost here. It is when we are moving out into the roads, stuck into the jams, we're not looking outside the world to see where our billboards are. Only probably the company itself sees about their advertisements, but consumers are more into their own screens. So it is all about shifting the behavior. As an telecom operator, definitely we have a purpose, we have a role to play here. Since pandemic hit all of us very badly, it gives us a different behavior. Probably due to this digital platform, we get to see each other's face. Had it been in a physical world, probably we would be half covered, right? So that is the change, what is being done. So with that, also probably people's mobility is getting changed. We are not as much as mobile the way we used to do a couple of years back. So as a technology company, we need to shift our overall ecosystem as well. So when you are outside into the world, in the mobility world, you get a different sort of a demand versus when you are inside your home. So that sort of a thing is first to deal with, that how customers are shifting their overall usage, how customers are shifting their interest points. Just to cope it up with them, probably all the industries actually is changing its own strategy. Couple of industry probably is growing fast due to this situation. Couple of new trend, if I talk about the mobile financial system, it is altogether a new norm for Bangladesh, but it is growing very fast, because when we talk about this digital, this modernization, this transformation, it is all about convenience, what I feel. It is not about the binary digital 1010, it is all about how ease we can do that access. When as a telecom operator, we started our journey. At one time, USSD menu used to be a very known factor. VAS services used to be, and the same thing we now see in a digital world. So different music streaming apps, video streaming apps. So this is just a change of behavior, and I feel adding to what Mukit bhai mentioned. Yes, it is something. First of all, you need to believe that customers they are changing, and we just need to, as an organization, as a brand, we need to solve their problems, and that is why we exist. That is why probably each of the brand exists, and that is overall probably my take on this.
Thank you. I mean, this is a great insight. I believe my next questions, I look forward to know more about this from you. Now, let's move on to Ms. Zakia Zerin, where you are in a company where this Nestlé, we all grew up with this brand, I believe, as Coca-Cola as well. We all these brands where being asked, even the kid who doesn't know that's from the house of Nestle, they're also the user or consumer of your products. And there are inherent challenges. Many of us probably don't know that apart from the regular food and beverages, Nestle is also in the business of some of the nutritious products, which is very important for mothers and for the toddlers and all. So keeping that in mind, when Nestle looks at their own transformation roadmap, or for Bangladesh, then how do you embrace it? I mean, what's happening in your organization?
Yeah. Okay.
Do you find yourself it's ready for transformation, or is it transforming? What's the story?
Yeah, thank you for the question, and I would like to first say a few things about transformation and innovation. So whenever we hear these two words, always we may be thinking technological company or tech companies, but my perspective, I also spend a lot of times, around 12 years of my experience, in my career in a telco industry, and then I moved to FMCG. My perspective also changed in last 3.5 years when I saw how importantly innovation and renovation is considered in Nestle. I mean, in Nestle Bangladesh, Nestle globally, people may be thinking that it's a food and beverage company. And obviously we have products for infants and mothers. What's there to change? How much you can change? But Nestle globally, Nestle Bangladesh focuses. There's a whole team who works on innovation and renovation. So the one message that I would like to give to all the audiences today is that innovation and transformation is required all across the brands, all across the industry. So it's not something that is only considered that you are a tech company, so you should be considering that. It's not that. So I'd like to give you one example that how important innovation and transformation is for Nestle Bangladesh and their management, is that we took one initiative when this global pandemic hit us last year. We all know that in the month of March and April, everything went shut down and everything. The shops were closed, and for us who are in FMCG, the retail shops, the modern trade, or they are kind of our everyday bread earning sources, but those were closed. So but we are a very old company. Nestle Bangladesh is operating for 26 years, but Nestle globally is operating more than 150 years. It's been. So we also wanted to give our consumers the trust that we are with them. So, and we wanted them to have our products because some of them are very important, especially for the kids. The infant formula or different kinds of, because we are a food and beverage company, which are for some certain household, some brands are everyday products that you take in. So we wanted to make sure that our consumers get our products. So, and we also know that, not many of the consumers do have access to, e-commerce, or they're not so much tech savvy. So how can we as a company, we as a brand play a role? So within a 2 weeks period of time, we transformed our call center. So Nestle has a call center where we actually take complaints or consumer queries. We transformed that call center into a home delivery center. Training our agents within a 2 weeks time to become a sales agents, and taking orders from our consumers, because we just wanted to make sure that our consumers are getting our products and they have the faith on us. So this is how, and the pandemic, settled down for a certain period of time. The shops open, but we kept our home delivery option open, and it is still open. We knew that, especially in the month of December, when the pandemic was not so much strong, obviously people started moving around. They were going to shops. There were not much calls in our call centers, but we kept it open. And then again, when this year in the month of March and April, the COVID rise again, we again started getting the calls. So this is how we take transformation seriously, and this is just an example I'm giving. So I feel very proud that Nestle Bangladesh considers transformation or re-engineering the processes very seriously.
Great. I mean, I believe that we've got some great points and audience would have loved. I really like the idea of talking about environment. We talked about the agility. Nafees bhai has really thrown the issue from a very controversial lens that really do we understand what is transformation, what's going on, or it's just we are talking a lot more about it, but really it takes its own time. We also have to wait. And then you ended with how you could see that even during the pandemic, which we were not ready, that we could possibly provide our products with the similar speed, the way Nestlé as a brand care for the consumers. So those probably in the eye of an audience is very important that you as a brand stay relevant for consumers, whatever situation comes in. So, and that's also, that defines also that all these organizations are in the right path of transformation and also their positioning. Now, as it's a panel for brand and brand forum, let's move into this consumer behavior perspective. Khub serious alochona hoilo ekhon like this consumer behavior thing now. So we as a marketer, like past the learning stage of discussing a lot about unique selling point or proposition, even in a decade back. I fondly remember when I was in Citibank launching American Express, because it's a legacy company, right? The time I got it as the head of marketing, I had to transform the entire brand into a company that people will start talking about, love it. So when I was launching American Express, one of the offer I remember was instant hit, like this buy one, get one free buffet at Westin or in many, many hotels and restaurants. Like people, came in, they enjoyed, and it's a great time. But today, that was the time it was a unique selling point, right? Like now everyone has copied it. Even the non-category brands can also do that. It's possible. But the thing that I have learned during that pathway, that when a hair category talk about long and shiny hair, when a top cola brand talks about refreshing and great taste, these are still unique selling point. It has to be there. That's the identity of the product itself. I have to sell credit card or credits to the consumers who needs it. But the millennials and Gen Z, who are now the catalyst for culture transformation because they're born in digital technologies, right? Like I'm not a millennial. I grew up with technologies. I've seen the traditional products, the audio cassettes and all, and I moved into Spotify. My life is different. I still, remember all those audio cassette days, and I also relish this Spotify thing. But today, the kids who are born with Spotify is his or her medium of listening or even knowing music, the sharing ability of these great platforms. They're voicing about human rights. They're challenging the status quo. And it's not very easy now as a brand to stay relevant with the unique selling point, right? You need to deliver something else, which is probably this unique buying moments or something very emotional, which is even in this digital fast technology, or even there is a life-changing pandemic experience, would help us to transform in a creative manner. So from our panelists, I'd like to know that how do you look at it? So I'd like to go to Ms. Abeer at first to know that when you consider Coca-Cola as a brand who want to stay relevant, apart from this unique selling proposition to this emotional mental model for this super fast digital world, how you think that Coca-Cola would stay relevant?
Thank you so much. It's a great question. I would start by talking about one thing, that there is a big shift in a way we work right now. So we have moved away from unique selling proposition to what we call right now brand love. So when you think the love between two persons, you don't really create that relationship because you have good sense of humor and I can write good poetry, so we would have love between us. It doesn't happen that way. The love happens because you as a whole person, as a living being, are able to interact with me in a manner that syncs with me. So that's the relationship between a brand and a consumer. A consumer is a living being, be it Gen Z, be it millennial, or be it even boomers. That's a human being we're talking about, and it will always evolve. And then whoever is my TG right now, so maybe 20 years back, the 13-year-old I used to talk to, and 20 years down the line, now the 13-year-old I talk to, both of them has a need, and a very core need to drink a bottle of Coca-Cola. Now that how they define that need was probably different for me and different for the Gen Z who's going to be my new consumer, right? And the gap.
I just want to challenge in one space that, yes, Coca-Cola is very important. We will still drink Coca-Cola. But look at the Gen Z or millennials who is talking about, I'm going to drink water. Like I'm very conscious about my health. I'm not going to get a sugary drink. And their Coca-Cola is also working. And that's a transformation because there's a changing mindset of the consumer. That, like, would you like to shed lights on that particular story? That when you know that this, like, as I said, I'm not a millennial or I'm not a Gen Z. I grew up by drinking sugary drink. I never minded it, right? After the wedding programs and all, that's the thing that I get into, right? But today, the kids, they have options in a way. They're hitting gym faster than us, very health conscious. Some of them are in the YouTube video, you know, and these telcos are facilitating great speed and all to watch it. Yeah. Now, for Coca-Cola to stay relevant in this age of, you know, like the way the people's mindset is changing, how do you want to stay relevant?
Absolutely. So the thing I was talking about, so when I say I will always have that need for drinking a Coke, which means that I will always have the need for having a refreshment. So I used to take sugary drink without a guilt. Now I probably say a Gen Z who is more aware. What I need to do is understand as a brand that for his or her refreshment need, how does he want that? So in one way, we can think that, okay, everyone is probably evacuating the sugar zone and going there. But then I have to reflect that what is that consumer's need when it comes to Bangladesh? That a Bangladeshi teen, what he or she is thinking. And that Bangladeshi teen is not sitting just in Dhaka or just in Chittagong Metro, right? He's sitting in Narayanganj, he's sitting in Rangpur, Rajshahi, Belkuchi, everywhere he is. And we have to see that collectively, what is the need that they have. So that's why you would also see in our portfolio, we have, as much as we have Coke, we also have Coke Zero, we have Coke Diet. And if you see in our global portfolio, you would see many other forms. Because more and more we are seeing into consumers, we know that there is a need for refreshment. There will always be a need for refreshment. But that format, what we offer, has to be very much relevant to what they are ready to consume. Are they replacing a drink right now? Or are they drinking something that is getting into their repertoire? So that's how we look into each of these segments. And then we have the product offerings in the market. Nazmul Bhai, I think you're on mute.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great answer. I mean, I'm really liking, you know, the controversial thing and then how the brand head knows that how you are changing yourself, right? So let's move into Ms. Zerin. As Nestlé, as we have already discussed, that the transformation is happening, we all know. Then my question is the same, where the functional products, the relevance of the functionality will be there. We all know that this what Nescafe delivers us, right? Or what NATO delivers us. But then Nestlé as a brand, as Coca-Cola, has long been associated with emotion, right? We the way we have our brand love for this functionality, we need this, even this sugar and all, I don't mind. And on the other side, this staying emotional is something which is the part of Nestlé all their life. But in this digital age where there are a lot of challengers, even from the local brands who are also bringing this functional products, which is also as good as what Nestlé has always delivered and also been very emotionally relevant, right? Your competitions, both local and also from abroad. How do you like to make yourself very relevant for these millennials and Gen Z?
I was just waiting for this question. I have a lot to say to that. The beauty of working with Nestlé, and for me, as I look after the entire brand communication of all the Nestlé brands, so I deal with all the brands that Nestle has. And Nestle has brands for 18 to 24 years old kids, so which is Nescafe. Nestle has brands for mothers from starting from 25 to 45 years old, and so on and so forth. So there are different kinds of TG, there are different kinds of brands that we have, different products that we are offering. So when it comes to Nestle, Maggie automatically comes. And we all have probably grown up with the Maggie noodles, because Maggie noodles created the instant noodles category in Bangladesh. And people who have had Maggie, 25 years back, they have now become mothers or fathers. They are now feeding their kids. So obviously, yes, the emotional bond is there with the brand. So when it comes to consumer behavior change, I see there are two main places where the consumer shift or consumer behavior changes. One is the consumption itself, because in an FMCG company, or even in telco, by consumption I means when people are using data or buying a particular pack. So for us is the consumption or having the food itself, and the second is the media behavior, because as the marketeer, for us, the change also takes place there. So we have to keep in mind how the consumer behavior is changing in terms of consumption, and how the consumer behavior is changing in terms of when their media behavior. So let me give you an example. I love to give real life example, because then people are able to relate much better. So as I was talking about the Maggie brand, we have seen only a simple Maggie masala variant that we had in market for so many years, until only in 2018 or at the beginning of 2019, when Maggie, after such a long time, launched a variant called Maggie Masala Plus. You know why? Because of these millennials, because of the Gen Z that we have, because we wanted to be at par with the consumers where they are, because we want this new generation to love the brand Maggie and to stay tuned or stay with the race, with the competition. We had to bring variation in the brand Maggie itself. So now we have actually two other different kinds of variation in the noodles brand itself. Also, if I give an example of Nescafe brand, Nescafe, we always have seen the Nescafe Classic and the Nescafe 3-in-1 sachet that we had. But then through a research, through a consumer study, we realized, obviously, we are not a coffee drinking nation, we're a tea drinking nation. And people find the coffee taste a bit bitter, especially the younger generation. So considering that, we also addressed their issue, and we launched the Nescafe Creamy Latte, which is more of a sweeter version of the coffee. So this is how I would say that we are trying to stay relevant to address the consumer behavior change in terms of consumption. And we can talk about later on maybe that how the consumer behavior is changing, because these people, and also when the pandemic hit us, I'm sure Mukit and Nafees, they will also agree with me that our channel of media reduced, because we could not be in billboard, we could not be in press, we could not be in the movie theaters where we used to advertise. So the only channel that we had was TV and the digital or social media channels that we had. So we had to also sort of recoup and think that how I'm going to make a change in my media budget and how do I make placement. So this agility was also important, considering my consumers' media behavior is changing, and how do I adjust to that change. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, great answer. I just want to give you an insight about what has happened in my life. I remember, since this pandemic is here, when I was doing my MBA and my dormitory days in Birmingham, then I didn't know how to cook in the beginning. So, and it was a hard time, right? I mean, you just starve when you don't know how to cook. The Maggie is the only thing that I could possibly cook. I had to call my mother, and that was not the WhatsApp and those messenger days, to put the calling card to call your mother. Then I'm talking about back in 2006, calling from UK was really hard. And the way that stickiness came into me about Maggie as a brand, because that's the brand that I had every technologies, but when I can't eat, I'm going to die, right? The Maggie was the only savior. And when the pandemic hits, I could see, I mean, I was calling my cousins who are living in the dormitory, who couldn't go home, or living by themselves in places like Uttara, Niketan, with friends. They don't know even how to cook. And the person who cooks for them, he had to leave, right? The place. And the Maggie was the thing. So the way the brand stays relevant, even this age of technologies, what Nafees bhai has always said, all this transformation, innovation, by bad dao. Let's look at the basic, right? That stays the same. But the way you represent it, the way you bring out the story, that possibly gives us the, like more and more insights that how we should stay relevant even when the things are changing, even on the mindset, on the digital landscapes and all. For millennials, it's the way it is. They are finding Maggie as handy. I found it years ago, Maggie as something that I need to savor. So that's the thing that Nestlé or brand like this actually do. Now, just getting to Nafees bhai in terms of how I believe that we just have a discussion about the millennials and Gen Z. When we look at Grameenphone, we see that the brands that is available in the market, for example, a bank, for a beverage company, for a company that sells FMCG products, they also have to use your technology as their platform, as their marketing platform. If telco is not there, this 3.5 or 5.5 screen is not, can't create the magic, right? So you and Mukit bhai possibly are offering us also the channel, which for us is the marketing interface a lot of time, right? And so so you've got two responsibility. One is for yourself, you as a company, to market your product. On the other side, to facilitate the communication channel or technology itself for us to build communication, because people are now mobile, right? Like they have the highest mobility. They want to experience people instantly. So in that perspective, how do you shift yourself from the unique selling proposition of offering data or talking coverage to a brand that emotionally stay relevant?
No, right. First of all, it is a tough question. It is, to be very honest. If you ask me whether there is a right or wrong, there is nothing. But you need to pick something and grow and build on that. Especially when you are honored and humbled with and privileged to have 82 million days. This is a bigger responsibility to what you communicate, because I often tell to my internal team members that if I am not aware, or my team member in marketing is not, they are not aware of some product and services, then 82 million are surely not aware. So this is very simple transformation among us. So first of all, it is a big responsibility. And coming to the telecom industry perspective, yes, rightly you have mentioned, we are sort of a highway. And probably Facebook, YouTube, all other global apps, local apps are riding on this highway, and customers are utilizing these partners. So that is how, if we see in a way. So they are interacting with us every moment, starting from ghum theke utha theke ghumate jawa porjonto, and during this entire journey, when you have 82 million customer, you have actually 82 million types of behavior, and you need to pick a bigger base. And how you pick that bigger base? First of all, as a brand, as a marketer, we all need to remember our core rule, why we are actually loved for. So there are some unique identity for Grameenphone, for any other operator, for any other brand. So you should not deviate much from that. People love me for something. That's why I have achieved to a certain place. But I should not shift just because that I am an old haggard. But I need to be smarter to mix with this generation. That is also very much relevant. And how do we do that? First of all, you need to bring the right service at the right time. This is the core expectation out of us. It is not only the beautiful looking ads we place on television or the digital platform, but first of all, when you are in dire need, whether you are being able to call someone at that very moment. When you are in a dire need to listen to music, whether we are catering or giving you the right frequency to give you that entertainment, especially when you are having these Bangladesh matches all around. Your emotion is on the peak, but you need to see the game, right, wherever you are. So these are the things, I guess, nowadays brand wants that those gone are those days when we used to have a captive audience, we used to communicate something, and they used to listen. Now we need to be more conversational, and that is why probably the social media platform has gone up significantly, because their customers can interact with you, be it একটা গালি দেওয়া থেকে শুরু করে appreciate করা. So it is out there, and you need to accept it. You cannot ignore any comments because they are your user, they are paying for our services, and we do actually honor and listen to them. So first of all, answering to your question, we have a conversational approach more. If you see from last few years that how a brand actually converts and being a relevant services. Just to give you one example, that in Bangladesh, you being a user of Spotify, now you can actually pay the Spotify subscription through your mobile wallet. So this is something definitely we brought to thinking the customer's behavior, and that is probably this era of people want something. Going forward, this sort of services, this sort of partnership will be the new way of bringing or having your customers within yourself. So this is one from a customer's perspective. And second of all, we do analyze the customer sentiments in social media, how they are actually treating us, how they are talking for us, what are their loving trends nowadays, whether they are following some specific newses. And that is how actually you mold your communication to be more likable into the customer. And so that is probably one approach we try to take. It is a tough one, though it gives some sort of a relevance to stay relevant, because one part is you are bringing services which are needed by the different people. It is not necessarily, as I mentioned, when you are taking care of 82 million base, you have different needs. You have smartphone at some people's hand, you have basic phones to a bigger base as well. So you need to cater the services for the both. It's not that the entire country has become digital. So it is a bigger responsibility, and to stay relevant, as I mentioned, it is more to listen to the customer and talk on keeping into their shoes.
Thank you, Nafees. I could see that you've given a huge emphasis on this community listening, where we get great customer insights, and that also tells us that where we are emotionally relevant or not. I mean, keeping that in mind, I'd like to go to Mukit Bhai, just to twist the questions a bit, because we have talked a lot about this, how USP now becoming this brand love or unique buying, like needs. I'd like to twist the question somewhere where see, we have now the representation from Coca-Cola and also from Nestlé. And as I talked about the dependency, because the innovation could happen on your side, and that could, support the brands that could be in partnership with you to offer a great digital experience. Just for example, I could remember, when I talk about Spotify, like Spotify has got their own playlist. So there is a time when Coca-Cola probably in the morning could help me get a Spotify list. That's the refreshing list of the day, right? That's what we do. Like you hit Burger King, and you see that Burger King, the moment you buy your burger, the hoopers, then the link of Spotify, the day that suits the mood of the morning, or even for the lunchtime and all. And when I talk about refreshment, am I audible? Because I could see my, then
yeah, there was a short interruption.
Well, so for the expectation from the telcos that, if Ms. Zerin, she talked about Nescafe 3-in-1. I remember back in 2007 and 8, Nescafe 3-in-1 brought the first audio CD with Fuad, right? They've created some song. There was a great content. Today we talked a lot about content, and those were the days of content when those social media was not there. Because I was working on that campaign, I know that we had to bring this forward city, which was very relevant for the market. And 3-in-1 was instant hit because we also had to introduce 3-in-1 meaning. Now, the thing is, how are you supporting with your technologies, innovative technologies, for other brands to stay relevant with the social experience or the digital experience?
See, I will have to bring in the fact that the consumer behavior shift that has been going on for some time now. এখানে আরেকটা ব্যাপার খুব ইম্পর্টেন্ট আনতেই হবে, that's the pandemic that's been here for 1.5 years plus. So as Zerin just mentioned that telco industry te a shift is faster and more prominent in the sense that how people are recharging, that plays an important role in their communication needs. And that's where we come in, because the user experience matters a lot. So if you, for example, are in my BL app, how you are navigating yourself from the homepage to recharging to the end journey, that matters a lot. So it's really important that I as a brand and I as my own brand's platform make it user friendly for others. So এই user friendliness টা সামনে নিয়ে আসাটা খুব জরুরি। Second যে বিষয়টা আসে সেটা হলো যে what else, how I can support other brands. For example, there are alternate recharges. There's Pikash, there's Rocket, there's UPay, all coming in and collaborating with us. So am I creating that ecosystem for others through which they can actually have the complete need fulfillment and the services consumed through Banglalink's network? So it's important that I not only cater to my self-care app, but also ensure that the other behaviors that are there. And that's where pandemic, আমি আরেকবার আনছি এখানে, যে people have widely shifted their behavior. Even 2 years back, people would be okay with recharging through retailers. But this entire transformation, there's this shift that we are looking at and experiencing ourselves. We as operators have got to make sure that these journeys are made as friendly and as smooth as possible, end to end. And that's how you create brand relevance as part of your journey. That's how you create experiences. And that's how through experiences you create memorability. And that's important for all the consumers out there and for the brands to remain memorable with amazing experiences.
Great. Mukit, I believe that Ms. Abeer has something to ask you. She has just
not really ask. I would like to, so I would just like to add to what Mukit Bhai has said. And I think I have an example where there is a collaboration which has led the innovation. So I can say that even 2 years back when we would go and talk to retailers, because FMCG is all about bajare giye becha, right? They will not even be eager to say watch a video on a tab. সময় নাই, পারবো না, এই ধরনের pushback দিত. And recently what we have done during the time of lockdown, we have launched something called a WhatsApp ordering system with the retailers. So we have tied up with WhatsApp. দোকানদারের মোবাইলে আমরা কি WhatsAppটা launch করে দিয়ে, then the retailer is now able to place an order through WhatsApp to us, and he does not even have to interact with the say DSR right now. So which also saves him and gives him a safe environment, right? And later on, what we did is when we saw this WhatsApp thing was going really fast and retailers were not giving as much pushback as we thought initially, oh my God, they might not even pick it up, but let's try it. Then we found out that Facebook Messenger is one of the biggest chatting app that is being used in Bangladesh, and it has a higher penetration than WhatsApp. So now we are actually replicating that ordering service in a messenger app. So একজন retailer can sit in his shop, মেসেঞ্জারে আমাকে অর্ডারটা দিয়ে দিবে, and there is a whole list. He can just select and do that, and my delivery man will simply drop the order in front of his outlet. So that's how I think organizations have come out from that, যে আমি আমার নিজের ecosystem নিয়ে থাকবো, to a place where I will leverage all the ecosystem enhancing community that is there, and we almost perform like a community right now. And I think that's one thing that has taught, this pandemic has taught us, that how to do business when everything outside is telling you can't move. I think that's a big thing that is
I will actually add something to it as well. when I come back to entertainment, and when I come back to the fact that people are in need of that entertainment, especially when they're staying home, what are we doing as brands to keep the people engaged? And one of the things that we came up almost at the right time was the entertainment app called Toffee. And that Toffee entertainment app was all about video on demand, was all about TV on your hand. I mean, the experience itself was so overwhelming that we had an amazing growth that we couldn't even think of setting a target. And that actually, had a 3-time ripple effect in the pandemic time. And overall, it's not a standalone project. We have to understand that we brought in services at the back end who provided that TV experience. We brought in all the content partners into Toffee, and we also collaborated with influencers on the way to make sure that the word gets spread around. And all of these, this creates a great ecosystem for the entertainment platform. And this has been such overwhelming that it has been taken to now it's planning to be taken into other markets under Vion, which is a parent company of Bangladesh. So this is another case where we understand that it's not your one-man show, one brand show. You have to join hands with other brands and make sure that together we create this amazing platform, experiences, whatnot, to make sure that the audience or the consumers at the end of the day get their value for the money.
So keeping, I believe keeping that in mind, the discussion is kind of forming an opinion that the ecosystem, creating that ecosystem of collaboration where earlier where all the brands probably would have worked in a silo, now they're coming together and offering a very conducive digital environment, because even if you don't want, the consumers have changed. Even a pandemic was needed to kind of leapfrog it, but it has been changed. They were changing and they've just started doing it. So the discussion has formed an opinion that the collaboration has to take place. And as long as for this collaboration, as long as we create a lot more innovation into it, whether it's incremental, whether it's disruptive, that would eventually affect the other, like a spillover. Like if you do something really great, then it would create a channel for other company, which is probably not your competition, to offer a great digital experience. And that thing would go on, and you probably would create a culture of transformation as well. So now I'm going to twist the word here, saying, shop transformation ki darkar ache. Like think of, we offered this chatbot from the banking channel. We offered this amazing internet banking experience. We talk about WhatsApp banking. I'm just talking because I've always worked in the banking as a category on the transformation side. মানুষ এগুলো ইউজ করে মানে, or how relevant is this, or when we introduce or sort of flood the customer or consumer with too many innovation and they just want the basic service from you, where is the perception gap? That's because you all are very, like you guys have met fair share of challenges in your own career about when you handle marketing and brand. And you've seen that sometimes I wouldn't say over innovation, but we just want to be very relevant or to stay too relevant to the Western societies, or where a very niche group of consumers who probably have traveled a lot, experienced the brands, and we just want to copy that here. And we feel very happy in the boardroom to say, great innovation. Now, keeping that in mind, even in the pandemic, we saw there were a group of consumer or somebody, the users who has never signed up for internet banking, signed it up, find it awful, and then just moved away and say, Amar jonno bank our barai then. I don't need your internet banking. Or then we have another time flooded them with chatbots, call center calls, and customer previously নষ্ট করে ফেললাম. Now, where we need to create a balance, how as a marketer, that's the question I would like to ask at first to Nafees bhai, then I'd get into, and then I'll move on to Ms. Zerin. If you could share
I
some
think
lights.
the people who are here in this room, probably we are trying to humanize our company, our brand, right? So that is the biggest effort we are putting. None of us cannot say we are perfect. Being a huge coverage provider, as a telecom operator, we're also learning, we're also developing, we're also improving, and we do have gaps in different levels. It is not that we are the best or the optimum level. So coming back to your question, the biggest innovations in the world probably are the simplest, right? Apple thought of something, later everyone followed. So those are very simple things. Removing your button from your phone is something we could not think of, but nowadays it is a reality. So all these innovation actually coming in two ways. One, you start doing a need gap analysis and try to place that. And second one is you try to foresee the future, what can be the better option for the customer and bring it. So what we are having today, even as a country, we face this pandemic quite well because probably as an infrastructure, we were more prepared and digitized, be it any organization. It is not only in the private sector, but also in the public sector as well. And no one actually anticipated that a pandemic would come, right? No one still would like to do so, but it is a reality. And probably someone somewhere envisioned that in the future, and that's what made our life easy. So in a way, yes, innovation, these things are needed. Everything will not probably click. One or two things will be liked and picked by our customers, and that is why we will be loved more. And that is the overall approach. From an organization point of view, we bring out different things. Definitely, all of them do not click, but for those one or two lovable items, we remain relevant. And also, I think out of this entire thing, as an organization or as a brand, we need to be more empathetic. That is probably the pandemic has shown us. So to be that, you need to actually know the pulse of the customer, and you converse in that line. So innovation probably will never become a backdated thing, but the formation of innovation will probably take a different definition going forward.
Yeah.
Great answer. Zainab, if you'd like to add.
Yeah, sure. I think I would take from what Abeer was saying a few minutes back that they launched an ordering system in the WhatsApp, but later on they realized that the retailers are more on the Facebook Messenger, and currently they are working on bringing the same system into the Facebook Messenger. I think that's the answer, because what I feel, it is about staying relevant to your customers, to your consumers. So for our retailers, our customers, and obviously our consumers are people who are consuming our products, our consumers. So it is all about staying relevant. Yes, আজকে ফেসবুক আছে, ইউটিউব আছে, হঠাৎ করে টিকটকও অনেক বড় হয়ে গেল, এখন আমি সবখানে যেতে চাই, maybe not. I truly I feel personally that I don't necessarily need to be everywhere or explore all the innovation that are happening around me or around my company, but that does not mean that I will not explore. So if you look at big companies, global brands, especially, and I have worked with Grameenphone or Telenor, now in Nestlé. What I have seen, and they operate in different countries. Some of them are fast moving countries, some of them are in the somewhere in the middle, and when they are launching kind of a solution or a product, there will always be a roadmap, that okay, I will launch this product or this solution in these 3 or 4 countries first, because the customer need is already there. So if I just give you an example of e-commerce, I'm sure in the we all know in the other countries, in the developed countries, e-commerce has come a long back. Even our neighboring country, India, and I can give example that even in Nestlé India, we have the e-commerce team is much bigger than the e-commerce team in Nestle Bangladesh, because the need has already risen. So there are key account managers specifically for Amazon, or specifically for for another e-commerce partner. But now if I see, oh, my regional head, they have done it, I need to do it, and okay, let's bring 5 more resources, put all the efforts there. No, because I need to first assess whether my consumers, do they really need it, do they have the capability? Because Nazmul bhai, you were talking at the very beginning of the conversation, because it also depends on the ecosystem, our partners' capability, because we work as Abeer was mentioning, we work as a community, and when my product is placed in an e-commerce channel, a lot depends on how an e-commerce partner is going to deliver the product, because I'm just placing the product in their shelf. So their capability also means a lot of things. So what I would say, if I summarize, that we really need to sort of assess the need of the country we're operating in, the consumers we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, and innovate accordingly. Yeah.
Great insight. Great insight. I mean, now I'm going to twist the thing again for Miss Abeer and Mukit bhai here, because Abeer, you are representing this brand which we all grew up with, right? We all know about it. Yes. And then now we see that you as a marketer, not because 4 of you who are here today, you're all representing your own organization, but you guys are also observing brands, right? And the changing landscape of the consumer as well. So now we see a lot of digital only offerings. There are companies who are digital product itself, right? And consumers are very aware about it. On the other side, due to pandemic, we see that some confusions has happened. Like, if the company who is now offering me something digitally where their expenses are less or spending are less for maintenance or for overhead, should not they price it differently? Or should there not be an innovation on the pricing? Should there not be an innovation on how the price being offered? Because price itself triggers a lot of understanding on how we conceive a product or how we perceive a product. So when I could see that, I could read the mind that a lot of people now, even due to the pandemic, when there's a loss of jobs, the income been very slimmed, right? And the middle class who has been hit heavily through that, they're now looking at companies and they think that that's an innovation when there would be a very different pricing strategy itself in order to offer the product without having to compromise on the brand feeling or the product experience itself. How you see that the shift is happening, or what as a marketer we should be doing on that perspective?
Pricing, I think, has especially in FMCG category, sort of a conflicting relationship with the consumer's perception of what the product is. Because we have often seen, when we have gone for price elasticity check, we thought if we reduce the price, people will buy it more. We saw that if we increase the price, people will buy it less, but if we reduce the price, people will not buy it more. So it's not an easy equation to draw, because in Bangladesh specifically, I would say this is very quintessential to Bangladeshi audience, that whenever we see a product, we see a price, we do a correlation in our head that what this product stands for, what is the quality of the product, what is the promise that the company is doing to me. So often what we do when we think of pricing, we take it one step back and we see it as an accessibility option. So we know that there are people who needs better solution which will make the product more accessible to them. So be it, say, through e-commerce, when we are doing, say, we are giving a certain number of discounts, we're giving bundle offers. But then again, there are accessibility also comes in the form of, can I make the cost of trial lower for this consumer? So maybe I come up with an SKU which is a lower price. So which does not mean I take down my pricing overall, but I come up with a more affordable SKU, which means the cost of trial becomes lower. So he can come more frequently. And this is not just, I think, Coca-Cola. For every category in FMCG, you would see that accessibility is built in through innovation in SKUs, as I would say.
Great. I mean, and then Mukit bhai, do you have any other thoughts, or do you think that you have very different thoughts, or something that you agree?
Yeah, you see, you talked about pricing and you talked about pandemic. And you asked that pandemic ke karone ki pricing er expectation consumer end kono impact ache kina. So, and there was other discussion going on. For example, school to ashole ekhon to school cholche na. So, why don't we, lower the school fees, right? Yeah. But you see, in our end, in our industry, or even for the brand, the consumer's need for affordability has always been there. The consumers will always expect, is there an affordable pricing for me or not? And am I getting the right value for money that I'm spending for the brand? Whatever brand, whatever category it might be. So for the brand, on one end, the brand will always try to give some kind of value for money. Banglalink has always been trying to do VFM stand. But on the other hand, it's also important that we bring in we ensure the right kind of product or service experience. Coca-Cola khetre ho, Nestlé branded kotha khetre ho. So a product experience am I sustaining it among the consumers? Eta jodi thik rakhte pari, quality jodi ami thik rakhte pari, tahole ami amar pricing definitely I can maintain that in terms of the value for money I'm giving. And for Grameenphone and Banglalink, the same thing goes for the service. Ami je network availability, network is 4G provide korche, ami ki speed am I giving the right kind of speed that they expect? Am I ensuring that they are having the right kind of experience? Can I tell them that yes, with this pricing, you talked about pricing, with this kind of pricing, this is the kind of things you can do with, for example, Banglalink 4G. And once I can kind of transform this thinking for the consumer behavior to shift, this is what I have for you, and this is what you can do, your ability to do with my product or service, I'm hitting the sweet spot. And it's important to be able to connect with the consumers in terms of what I'm offering, affordability hope, our experience hope, or ekdom sheshe ami abaro bolbo যে এই ভালো এক্সপেরিয়েন্সই কিন্তু একটা ভালো মেমোরেবিলিটি ক্রিয়েট করবে, ব্র্যান্ড রিকলটাও এস্টাবলিশ করতে হেল্প করবে। And at the end of the day, what happens when you have a good brand recall? You actually have a brand desirability coming up. You prefer this brand, and you will choose this brand over the other. That's what we all want. At the end of the day, that's all the story that we want to carry.
Thank you. I mean, I think it's a very relevant discussion in that perspective. I mean, because a lot of time we see that some of the companies, they get very confused. They come up with very different pricing strategy that either provides too much of discounts or coupons, and that it confuses the customer. At the end of the day, as Nafees has just said in a very right way, that simplicity is very important. You should not confuse your customers, and then you bring price changes the way Abeer has just said, right? Because you want at first you have a desire and you'd like to pay for it. And now with all these overwhelming offers, sometimes you feel so confused that you probably stay away from using it because you just feel yourself confused. And that's not something that we really, really want or deserve as a brand. So I believe that we reached at the point when we have to close the discussion. It's been an amazing panel, I would say. I mean, I as I said, whenever I come to a panel, whether I'm moderating it or being part of a panel, I find it a great learning opportunity. And then I believe the audience who is actually growing with us, as I believe Brand Forum is a movement that as we are growing, learning every day from our mistakes and also from our fair share of success, Brand Forum audiences are also growing with us. And over the years, we have created a great audience who are also our customers. They are advocates, and we will keep on doing conferences like this to bring out the discussion, to learn from each other. So one final thought to close this discussion, that in order to stay relevant as a brand, if I would like to ask one single point, what will be your point? I'll start with Mukit bhai. That
know your customers. Understand your customers, what they're doing, what their trend is, what they love, what they believe in. It's important that you understand that and then follow that.
Thank you. Ms. Abeer, what do you think? One single point.
Absolutely echo with Mukit Bhai. Listen to your consumers, listen to them well, and understand what they're saying and also what they are not saying. The answer lies to being relevant just there and nowhere else.
Great, great. Zainapa, what do you think?
I think obviously I agree with Mukit and Abeer with knowing your consumers. But the one word that if you are asking me to say, I would say that be empathetic to your consumers. Showing empathy, understanding them would definitely help to a brand to stay relevant.
Yeah. Thank you. Nafees bhai?
Well, since audience has some expectation to listen more, I won't repeat the previous points because those were actually the key points. But adding on top of these, I would say we should focus to solve the customer's problem. That is where a bigger brand probably lies, the success story.
Right. Just to add my own perspective to it, that as I said in the beginning, that we are all growing with the brand forum as a community as well. I believe the discussion has given us a lot of good insights about how we should know our consumers well, whether what's their changing needs, are they really changing, or are we changing too fast not to become relevant or becoming irrelevant? And also, as in the beginning, whenever, even if offline, when we discuss, Nafees bhai has always said, those words like transformation or innovation sometimes khub bhari hoye jay, like thing happens, we change, we learn, and we change. Then rather than looking at them and getting a formula out of it, that eta ekhane dekhlam এবং এটা এখানে follow করব, it's not probably is going to bring transformation for you, right? Once you know your consumers, once you have a solid understanding of the marketing landscape, of the behavior of your customers, even their past, like because their behavior to influence from their parents, from their peer group, and তার মানে কিন্তু টেলিভিশন or social media চাইলেই সবকিছুকে আবার মানে পরিবর্তন করতে পারে না, and also you need to also look at how are they growing from their own social parameters, their demography, the geography they belong to. With all these points, we as a marketeer, in our organization, we have to push the agenda of transformation, because it starts with our own employees, that if we can bring the cultural changes in every spaces, we can see the transformation happens, we can stick it together. We also need to think about the environment and the sustainability, because it's important. It's not only because the millennials are looking for it or need an advocate, it's also we have a commitment towards our society, and also we need to stay relevant with our channels for the customers, not by bringing something which is, like relevant for them, like this WhatsApp and this Messenger issues that we have just discussed. So it was a great panel, and I believe that going forward, Brand Forum would organize more panel like this, and we will meet again. And till that, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And it was a great discussion.
Thank you to the moderator and panelists for your insightful session.